Mark, today we're going to talk about comfort versus growth in relationships. Welcome to Breaking Biscuits, the experience. And Mark, we've been on this topic of being in your head versus being in your heart, and we kind of tied in communication to that, which obviously is a big part of that. And to kind of take this to a whole nother level, I thought it'd be great to talk about, when we think about communication, we think about communication style as it relates to relationships. And I'll start out with a question is to our audience, is our communication style a style of comfort, or is it a style of growth? Meaning, do we go down the lane that creates comfort, or do we go down the lane that creates growth? And I think that's a good place to start, and talk about a little bit about the difference between the two. But we'll start kind of with the comfort side first, which I think we all can relate to, depending on your personality type and the like. But comfort is just that. It's kind of a communication style of avoidance. We like the history of where we're at. We don't want to rock the boat. It makes us feel safe keeping the peace, so to speak, and that type of thing. And I know you have a great example of that, a biblical example of comfort as it relates to why would you want to stay in that place?
Yeah,
it's so appealing though when you think about it, right? It's like, if I don't rock the boat, there's no conflicts, therefore there's peace. So it's the right choice to make.
But the question is, am I being authentic in what I need, and is it fulfilling what I want in a relationship? I have always marveled that Israel was in 440 years of slavery, generational trauma, like generational. Moses shows up and they walk away from Pharaoh, from slavery, and they go through the Red Sea, and the whole Pharaoh army is actually destroyed. So the enemy is destroyed. It's not going to chase them anymore. So they're safe. And they go 3 days and they don't have water, and they want to go back. And then when they came up to where they needed food and God had to give them manna and quail knee deep, they wanted to go back. It's almost like every step of the way, the temptation was to go back. Because I think because it's safe, it's predictable, and it's familiar. Even though it's bad, but what we do, I think, Toby, is what I think people would agree to, is that we tell ourselves it ain't that bad.
Yeah, good point.
There's a lot of good. And it'll work out. But the problem is you're sacrificing your own self-worth, destiny, purpose, and authenticity. Which you do that anyway. You there's a give and take in a relationship like that, but I think that's what you're saying, right? Is the comfort, choosing comfort, don't rock the boat.
Right. Yeah. It's an easy life to live because, like you said, it's predictable. And, most people don't like unpredictability.
Yeah.
And so if it's predictable, then even if it's not good, at least it's like a form of peace, but it's not peace. But to your point, I think you lose yourself in the process. Let me just point blank ask you, have you ever been in that place where you just thought it's just easier to live the way I'm living than to even express any type of need that would create conflict? I think it's what we're afraid of, is like we're afraid to express the need or what we don't like about something because we don't want the conflict, and we're afraid to be rejected, or whatever's underneath that. So consequently, we just stay silent in many cases.
But I think we look at it wrong, in the sense of, if I share what my needs are, then I'm really tearing you down. There's something you're not doing. But the truth is, the opposite is, I'm just sharing you where I'm at, what I need. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. This is just where we're at.
Right.
I wrote down here, when you just said that, it is an easy life to live, but it's a hard life to live with.
Very true.
Because even though it's safe, predictable, whatever, and there's no conflict, there's no conversation, there's no growth, it is safe, but it's a false sense of security, because the hard life to live, it's a hard life to live with, because you're going to always wonder what it could have been if I would have just been authentic. I think there's both sides of the story. If you don't share what you need, how can your mate know what you need?
Well, and I'm just sitting here thinking, Mark, those relationships didn't start out that way. They didn't start out comfortable. They didn't start out with avoidance. Typically when a relationship starts, there is a lot of sharing and a lot of, hey, this is what I need, and openness and vulnerability and all the things we've talked about on the podcast. But somewhere along the line, life happens. And as life happens, then our needs change, or our willingness to share our needs change. Because I think it's just, there's a lot of hurt, disappointments, and in those hurts and disappointments, there's victims. It just becomes really difficult to start expressing those things, I think, in those environments. But I think that's kind of what we're saying today, is just avoidance is not the answer. Children of Israel knew what was in Egypt. I'm sure they said to themselves, at least there's water there. I think the scriptures even say that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, at least my thirst can be quenched. Nothing else I'll be in slavery the rest of my life, but at least my thirst will be quenched.
And they said, at least we had beans there.
Yeah, right. But it's just, there's a better life and a better way. And that's what we're talking about today. The better way, which sounds counterintuitive, but the better way is actually, it's a style of growth, but it involves conflict. And that doesn't sound right. Like, you think, oh, a couple that's fighting is not doing well. But really, a couple that's fighting is disagreeing. And if they do it in a respectful fashion and get resolution and protect the relationship, then they're growing. And we don't really think that way.
My pastor Josh, he says we have a passionate conversation. We don't fight.
We don't fight. Yeah.
Don't you think there's a lot of factors, though? It's like, we're bringing to the table people who've never had any good resolution at conflict. They've never been trained, never been modeled. Everything turns into a disaster. To have, in my world, having this spiritual bombardment all your life that you're just being selfish. If you want what you need. I think there's just a lot of factors in sharing, and there's a good way to say it without the other person being on a defensive. Right. I think that's what we're afraid of. It's fear. I met with someone yesterday for the first time and just trying to break down with their life story, and that's exactly what we're talking about. They choose comfort over conflict.
Yeah.
But I don't think conflict's a bad word. We should call it passionate discussion or
I use the word disagreement. Like if
yeah.
I can disagree with my wife, but we can come to a resolution of that disagreement and it not be personal or not, it be done respectful. And yeah, that's a win.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the disagreement in my world, disagreements always didn't turn out well, so I avoided them, and I avoided lots of things like that. But I don't think disagreements are a bad thing. It depends on how. It's exactly what you said, how you present it. So just give us a practical. How would you present a disagreement to your mate or someone you love? Like a practical.
A practical. I mean, you have to. Well, I think it's important to listen.
Yeah.
So even if you're the one that disagrees, you have to kind of state, what you disagree with, but then you have to listen really intently to the other side. I think that's really important. And obviously that's a missing, piece. But, if I'm in a relationship, I think it's more, there's so many factors to your point, like we'll never be able to cover them all in a podcast. But just on the surface, yeah, I think it's stating your position and then listening well. But what I was going to say, the third component is you always need to look at your relationship as like a living entity. So whatever the disagreement is, you got, let's just say, a man, a woman, and a relationship. Three things.
Mm-hmm.
Disagreement is between the man and the woman. The goal in the disagreement is to protect the relationship. So if you approach it that way and you say, okay, we disagree, but our goal isn't to win. Like if I disagree, it's not my goal to win. It's not my goal to make my point. It's my goal to get resolution, but to do it in a way that's protecting this thing called the relationship. Because the moment we don't protect the relationship, then all bets are off. Like now we're really not going to get a resolution. So here's the key, I think, Mark. Disagreements feel uncomfortable. And if you've got trauma in your past, which most of us do at some level, then it can heighten those feelings, like of rejection or abandonment or whatever the trauma is from your past, or trust. It can be something along those lines. And so all of those emotions get heightened. And so it's so easy to forget this thing called the relationship while you're in this state of heightened emotional feelings because you're in a disagreement with someone that you love. And then all it takes is them to push back, and then boom, I mean, now it's either going to escalate or you're just going to keep it where it's at. And to me, I think the relationship aspect is incredibly important to be conscious of when you're in conflict, because it will create growth. I know we talked about this before, but I mean, conflict is like the pathway to growth.
Mm-hmm.
And so respectful conflict. But I know a lot of the couples that you talk to and we've had in Breaking Biscuits, the conflict isn't respectful. It's a bit over the top. And what do you, men more so than women have a tendency to, be more authoritarian in conflict and more aggressive. I think it's just the testosterone aspect of it. But how do you think through that when a man's in conflict and he just overasserts himself?
He's he's obviously trying to push back, like to get out of my space, because I don't really know what to say, so I'm just gonna be angry. But he'll never outmatch the woman who doesn't forget a thing. So, and they bring it up at the wildest time in the world,
Right.
prove their point. What I wrote down here is growth pains in a child is very painful when they go through their like younger pre-adolescent age. It's painful, but it's necessary. And I think also what I wrote down is what you're saying is, all you're saying is just, can I be honest? Can I just be honest about how I feel about this situation, or should we buy this boat or not, or should we go on, whatever it is, can I just be honest of how I feel? That's not saying, I think you're the most silliest, dumbest person on the planet. It's more disarming and saying, can I just be honest about where I'm at?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But of course, in Breaking Biscuits, we learn true covenant means to cut the flesh.
Yeah.
And it means it means commitment that endures conflict. And you cannot be confident with people that you don't disagree with at some point.
Yeah. Right.
So I chose comfort and avoided conflict because it never worked in my favor. And it was always my fault, and it was always a disaster. And I never had an opportunity to say my truth and say my words. And so I just avoided, like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's the point? Just avoid it. You know my favorite scripture, Toby? And I'm sure no one really knows it, but I can tell you what it is. It's I lived my whole life with this scripture. A wise man sees trouble afar off, and he hides himself from it.
Oh my God. Oh.
I hung on that scripture my whole life. Like, I see trouble coming, and the Bible tells me I can hide myself from it, so I'm not even going to deal with that.
Right.
Not knowing, obviously, that was a bad move. But I spent my whole life in that one scripture. I see trouble afar off because I have insight. I'm not dumb. I'm going to hide myself from it. I'm going to avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, was that bad advice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll say this because I know there's men that can relate to this. So for me, in my past relationship, where I struggled with this was coming more from the place of I was at fault. Like I did things that hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I always call it the perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take that out of context, but just a way for me to describe it.
Yeah. So
I'm the perpetrator. But therefore, because I'm the perpetrator, or the one that hurt someone, and there was hurt that flowed both directions, but I still primarily, I still take responsibility for the majority of it, is because I'm the perpetrator, I don't have a right to say anything. I gave up my right. But
yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not true, because if you're in that relationship, the person you're in the relationship with said, I want to stay. I want to be there. So I want to rebuild what we broke. And the only way to rebuild it, you can't have a perpetrator and a victim in a relationship and it be healthy. You're two equals coming in to one. And a perpetrator and a victim are not equal. And so the perpetrator says, well, I gave my right up to even feel anything. So if the perpetrator is always continually thinking, well, I don't have a right to say anything, so then they just force a relationship of silence and comfort, and there's no growth. And like, so if you're together, you're together. Like, the choice is, do you stay or leave?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and if you stay, the goal should be, well, let's rebuild what's broken. And there's couples now that could be in crisis. There's couples that could be separated. There's couples that they're just silenced because they're silenced because somebody's taken the role of, I don't want to rock the boat.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Mark, it's like the decision is, if we're together, why not walk this out? Let's step through whatever it is, as messy, as ugly, and as conflicting as it is. Why not walk through it? Because I guarantee you, if you go to the point of when the relationship started, there was something there that caused you to want to be with that person the rest of your life. And you build, if you got to go to the day one, build from that point. If you go to year 3, build from that, wherever it started to break, build from that point. But you can't be silent. That doesn't work.
I was meeting with a couple the other night, and I said, so this wasn't always this way, right? And they're like, no way. And I'm like, well, let's go back there and it's kind of simple math. Go back to where you started turning left or whatever. But I think I hear what you're saying. If I'm trying to think of the legal term, the plaintiff and I don't know the legal term for that. But anyway, the defendant. So the perpetrator has an awakening and tries to own their stuff, like what you said. I don't have a voice. I don't really have a right to say my whatever. Because if you do, the defendant's going to automatically count that as an excuse.
Well, the defendant will remind you of why you're the perpetrator.
And it's just an excuse. It's an empty promise. It's I hear it all the time. It's just words. It's so it kind of goes both ways. Both parties have to want to make that work. And it's a tricky wicket, man. It's just really tricky.
It is tricky, and because, like you said, there could be truth in it. It could be somebody promised 10 times and they did something the 11th time, and so there's no credibility and all that. But I would just go back. You got to start somewhere, and the best place to start is just being honest. That's the best place to start. It's just being honest.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
What the real question is, are you willing to work this out or not?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Are you willing to do what it takes to work this out? I think.
I guess that's a better question.
Because it's hard. I mean, relationships they're hard work, but they're also incredibly fulfilling. I mean, I would never want to do life by myself or isolated. I mean, that's personally my go-to when things are horrible. My go-to is isolation, because that's where I'm the safest, but I'm also where I'm the most miserable. And isolation it's a dangerous place to live. So I think it's just whether walk through the fire together. But if you can, man alive, Mark, what that on the other side is, like, look at it. Here's a good way to look at it for those that are in crisis. If this doesn't break us and we make it through in a healthy way, and we can build this up, there's nothing that can take us down. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, think of just things you've gone through, and you've got through. Like, well, that didn't break us. That means nothing. This can't take us down. Nothing can take us down. We can survive anything because we're in it together.
Is it kind of like the saying, what doesn't break you will make you, or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything can be restored and reconciled and rebuilt. Some's just going to take a lot longer.
Right. But I want to zero in on the growth part. I know you're big on this, so I'll zero in on this one. So you're big on individual growth.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get this way. How much does individual growth pair into relationship growth?
It's 100% to me. It's like what's introduced to me is this couple comes to us, me and Kelly, and it's like my trauma met your trauma. We made a bond, but we decided that we're never going to go there again, and we get this relationship. But the reality is nothing was done individually, and it keeps revisiting it. And so, yeah, personal growth, accountability, just working. And when we say working through stuff, we always say working through stuff, but all we're doing is sharing our heart in a vulnerable, transparent way of what really happened and how we felt. And I don't know how to process it with someone that we trust enough that will guide us, not judge us, and not tell everybody. It's pretty much that simple, but it seems so complicated. People can't find that. I have found what our Breaking Biscuits theory is: as we get better, it gets better. The relationship, and so for me, it's when I say work on yourself, it's like I'll ask the men like, well, why are you so angry? And they'll say, well, it's because my wife said this or I did this. And then I'm like, yeah, but why? Where'd it come from?
Exactly.
Where did it start? Like, we just keep going backwards. Like, who was angry to you? Where did you learn it? Like, you just kind of sort of unwrap it. And then you move forward and realize it was something you learned and adapted, and you don't need to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very incredibly complicated, but it's not at the same time.
So what is, if someone was in a comfort state, meaning they don't like to rock the boat, and they just say safe things all the time, how would you recommend, like, they step out? Like, how would they step into a growth communication style? Can you give me an example of how they could say something?
Well, that's my whole life story. And I wanted more than safety and same old. And I just started communicating what I felt like I needed in a real safe, positive way. And I had to choose me. I had to choose I want to be authentic, and I wanted to. This is what I wanted my life to look like. And you see it all the time. Couples will come together. They get in this grind of life, and then they have kids, and 15 years go by, and now there's no more soccer practice, and you're like, who am I living with? What happened?
Right.
And it happens, and it's going to continue to happen because life speeds us along this path, and then you realize so that's what I did. I came to the places like, I think I want more now.
Yeah.
My kids are raised, they're secure, they're safe, they're doing great. And now it's my turn.
Yeah.
And I just started having honest conversations. I probably wasn't the best at communicating those things. I could do it a lot better now. But I didn't even allow myself, Toby, to want to be happy or fulfilled. And I don't know what happened, but I just woke up one day, 50 something years old, and like, holy cow, I'm not happy. It's not what I want. It's not what I chose. It's not what I expected. And I decided to start having conversations about what I needed, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah. It was the first step, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first step of saying, you know what? I'm worthy of what I needed, what I wanted. I'm worthy of that. I put in the time. I've already done all the things, traveled and ministered and raised kids and did all the things. And now it's my turn. And I didn't want to make the choice I made, but it was made for me.
Right.
So, and everything's great because of it, but it was the most hardest, fearful thing I ever did in my life. I didn't know what people were going to think, what my church world's going to think, it was a really big deal. It was a humongous deal. And the long answer to that question is this really what you want? Is it going to end up where you want it to be? And if not, if you're 25, 35 out there listening, just start having the conversation. It could be as simple as, are you happy? Because I feel this certain way. Don't you think? I mean, let's start the conversation.
Yeah, you feel a certain way. There's nothing wrong with feelings. Like, you have the right to feel. It's just expressing what those feelings are, and hopefully you know why. That helps if you know why you feel a certain way. But I think the conversation is much more meaningful if you can explain why. But yeah, you have to start, and you might find out that you're probably going to find out on the other side. There's some there's some concerns there as well.
The irony is the other person feels the same way.
Yeah.
You don't talk about it. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I encourage people all the time that way.
Well, let's stop there, and I think it's a good place to end, and kind of a heavy conversation, but people are going through really difficult times, Mark. The holidays usually bring joy and good tidings to all, or it can be an incredibly hard and difficult time for a number of reasons. And my heart breaks for those that are going through rough times during the holiday season.
Yeah.
And it just breaks for them. I wish we could parachute in and just help people. That's why we're doing the podcast. And we just want to encourage you. Put a voice to your feelings. Take a risk. Be vulnerable. And share your heart with the person you love. All right. Any last thoughts, Mark?
No, I know we're coming into Christmas season, and just hope everyone just be thankful for what you have. I know in my life, a lot of times I'm disappointed in what I didn't accomplish. So it's like the end of the year report of your life.
Right.
And you start being disappointed in what you don't have, what you didn't accomplish, what didn't happen. But we're just going to choose thankfulness, family, and all the tools that we share. They really do work. If you need help clarifying, then reach out to me or Toby. Especially on this podcast, you can message us, or you can go to breakingbiscuits.com. We don't know everything, but we know some things. I can tell you that. That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And we haven't been through everything, but we've been through some things.
Been through a lot. Between the two of us, we got a lot of bases covered, brother.
Yeah. But there's always hope. There's always whatever. And we have a community that we're building. it just makes me sad that people. It's kind of bringing back a memory to me that lived my whole life in avoidance, and it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I never had a podcast that said, "Hey, you don't have to do that." You know that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Matter of fact, I don't recommend it because you're going to get old and regret it. That's. I wish I'd have had that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, this is Breaking Biscuits, and God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas.
Next Thursday is Christmas, right?
That's that. I think.
No, next. Yeah.
No,
next
yeah,
Thursday.
it is. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Merry Christmas if we don't see you, and Happy New Year.